Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever wilt be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hands have provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
Faithfulness. Faithfulness is defined as loyalty, constancy, and devotion. Faithfulness. I know how great is His faithfulness, but the question is, how great is yours? It's a funny thing that faithfulness is another one of those things that's easy to have when all is well. But what about when things are not going well? There is a phrase in the song, Great is Thy Faithfulness, that goes, there is no shadow of turning with thee. No doubt it's taken from the words of the Apostle James, who in chapter 1, verse 17 says, every good and perfect gift is from above, from our Father of lights, in whom there is no variation or shadow of turning. Now, there is no shadow of turning actually says a few things about God, if you think about it. First, it tells us that God is in and of Himself. It means that God exists independent of anything. We're reminded that the first words of Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 says, in the beginning, God. Secondly, it reminds us that God is uncaused. Only beings that have a beginning need a cause. But God always was. God always is. God always will be. I'm reminded of the words of the psalmist who says, before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. It means that God was ever before. It means that God ever is, and it means that God ever will be. But here's a third thought. It also tells us that God is immutable. Immutable means God is unchanging. It means there's no shadow of turning with Him. And aren't you glad that God does not change or turn? That means that when we hear the words that God's mercy endures forever, it won't change. It means that we hear that nothing shall separate us from the love of God. It won't change. It means that when we hear that all those who call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved, it won't change. It means that when Christ said, I go to prepare a place for you, and I'm returning again one day to take you unto myself, so that where I am, you will be also. It will never change. God is unchanging. Now, the reason that these things won't change is because there's no shadow of turning with God. What about you? How consistent is your faithfulness to God? How consistent is your walk with God? Are you a Christian with great faithfulness today, only to be a wishy-washy Christian on tomorrow? There is a series of phrases that may seem cliche that I ran across just recently, but we can use them as a reminder that we need to be faithful to God. Here they are. I can stand the test. If I can, God will do the rest. If I can make the time, God will renew my mind. If I can just be real, I can do the Master's will. If I can stop being weak and feeble, I can mount up on wings like an eagle. If I can hold out, if I can keep the faith, I can run this race and I can win the prize. So during this time of doubt, there is one thing that you can depend on unequivocally. It is the great faithfulness of God. God is faithful to you. I suggest that you reciprocate by being faithful to Him. Let there be no shadow of turning in your living and walking and loving Christ. Just a thought from the heart and mind of Victor.
Here we go. Great is your faithfulness, oh God, my Father. Everywhere I've been, you've been faithful and true. And every morning, hey, your tender mercies are brand new. There is no turning shadow ever with you. So let your name be praised over all the earth, yeah. And let my life convey all you are worth. So great is your faithfulness, oh God, my Father, yeah. And everywhere I've been, you've been so faithful and true. And every morning, yeah, your tender mercies are brand new. There is no turning shadow, and ever with you. So let your name be praised, yeah, over all the earth. Oh, let my life convey all you are worth. Oh, 'cause you love me more than I can tell, and you love me more than anybody, yeah. And when I thought my life was lost, you love me more than life itself. Hey, you love me more than I can tell, yeah. You love me more than anybody else. And when I thought my life was lost, you love me more than life itself. Let your name be praised, Lord, we praise you over all the earth. I wanna let my life convey, all you are worth. You are worthy, Lord, worthy, Lord. So let your name be, let it be praised over all the earth, over all the earth. Lord, I just wanna tell you, let my life convey all you are worth. So great is your faithfulness, oh God, my Father. Everywhere I've been, you've been so faithful and true. Every morning, yeah, your tender mercies are